Drizzle Lake in the Queen Charlotte Islands. This remote area is designated as an ecological reserve, an area protected for research and education. Here, one of nature's most beautiful and unusual water birds nests and raises its young, the red-throated loon. With its distinctive markings, red throat and striped head, this loon presents a striking image. Nearby, the mate approaches, wary of any predators. Normally, the nest would be easily accessible, but receding water levels have left this nest high and dry, creating a potential problem for a bird unable to walk well on land. The loon manages to make it despite the incline, but will the chicks be able to do it? Their very survival depends on being able to return to the nest from the water to keep warm. The vigil continues as the loon patiently incubates the eggs. When the eggs hatch, two black, downy chicks appear. The adult loon is sinking the eggshell, hiding the evidence of the newborn chicks, evidence that could attract predators. The mate has brought a marine fish for the chicks to swallow, and this is one of the peculiarities of the red-throated loon. It fishes in the ocean nearby and then brings the catch back to Drizzle Lake to feed its young. This is particularly baffling because Drizzle Lake is well stocked with small fish, and equally fascinating is the fact that the young never feed on land, only on water, with the adults taking turns in flying to the ocean to catch fish for the chicks. Now that the chicks have fed, they must return to the nest. The adult struggles. What of the chicks? The chicks. Sheila and Tom take up their vigil in a blind, where they can make their observations without disturbing the shy red-throats. And indeed, a pair of loons have taken up residence. A female red-throated loon has begun to incubate her newly laid eggs. The incubation period is 28 days, with both male and female taking turns on the nest. The male remains close by, watching for danger. A little smaller than the common loon, the red-throat has other distinguishing features, such as the upturned bill and the throat and head markings. Since red-throats feed in the ocean and the adults do not feed one another, it will be necessary for each adult to fly to the ocean to feed. At those times, the mate takes over the incubation. The female will generally spend more time on the eggs than the male, but he does his fair share by filling the vital role of guardian and nest tender. Male and female red-throats are all but indistinguishable. The male is about 10% larger, and there is a slight variation in the neck markings. As do other loons, the red-throat turns the eggs over each time it returns to the nest. Also in common with most birds is the brood patch, a naked area of the breast which allows the skin to come into direct contact with the eggs, warming them more easily. The pair of loons, suspended in the mist, patiently await the hatching of the first egg. Finally, one of the eggs has hatched. The chick quickly adapts to its new environment, while the adult awaits the imminent arrival of the second hatchling. Unlike the common loon, which broods its young on its back while swimming, the red-throated loon only broods its chicks on land. The flying stage will be reached about 50 days after hatching. The initial feedings begin with marine fish brought in from the ocean a few kilometers away. A new arrival, and the family is complete. Because of the damp, rarely sunny climate at Drizzle Lake, the chicks must be kept warm and dry when out of the water, or they would soon become chilled and perish. At the moment, the chicks seem more interested in each other than in food, but they will soon give in to hunger. Sheila and Tom puzzled over the logic behind ocean fishing when the lake was so abundantly stocked. Eventually, they were able to offer theories for this strange behavior, unraveling another one of the mysteries of the red-throated loon. Prior to every flight to the ocean, the red-throated loon performs a major preening of its feathers. Arriving at the ocean, fishing begins in the kelp beds. Like all species of loons, the red-throat is an expert fisherman. The adult loons can make up to 18 flights per day to bring fish to the newly hatched chicks. In the first week of life, a chick requires at least 20 to 30 grams of fish a day. As the chicks grow and their food requirements increase, the adults bring larger fish to make maximum benefit of each trip. A small saltwater fish called a sand lance, weighing 1.5 grams, is the staple diet at first. Another characteristic of this loon, it very naturally retrieves the fish for the chick when it is dropped. Even after the chick has swallowed the fish, the adult will search for it underwater, as though it had been dropped again. The male often brings larger fish than the female, even when the chicks are too small to handle them. But eventually the chicks manage to swallow them, and the adult will continue to encourage the chick to eat the largest fish possible, maximizing its caloric intake and minimizing the number of trips to the ocean. The feeding process continues. And so does the instinctive pattern of behavior that leads the adult to continue its search for the swallowed fish. A fish is never broken apart for the chicks. It must be swallowed whole, head first. If the chick fails to eat the fish, the adult eventually will. Time to rest and gather up strength for yet another flight to the ocean. Soon there will be a major preening session before the flight. Likely it will be the female's turn to go. They sleep a lot but never close their eyes for more than a few seconds. A bald eagle approaches, one of the chick's most significant predators. There is real danger here. The adult loon responds with an appropriate warning wail. The eagle departs. With the threat over, the loons vocalize an all clear. Known as the plesiosaur call, it is performed with the head down and lower beak in the water. This call is performed only by both birds at once, as a sort of duet. In their attempts to understand the puzzle of the red-throated loon's ocean fishing, Sheila and Tom have explored various possibilities. It could simply be that marine fish are more abundant than lake fish. This loon reasoning might be due to the fact that they sometimes nest on small lakes that have no fish, and so having begun over the centuries to seek out the better fishing grounds of the ocean, they have become genetically committed. Another possibility is that the loons are trying to circumvent freshwater parasites. If the chicks were to eat fish of which even a small number were infected, their growth rate would suffer as a result. Sheila and Tom's study went from dawn to dusk for 50 days, in which they videotaped every single fish that the adult loons brought back for the brood. Drizzle Lake, very aptly named. Spreading its wings into a giant canopy, the adult loon, this time the male, protects the chicks from the inclement weather. The sun has returned, drying the foliage and heating the air. Throughout these early days, everything centers around the feeding and protection of the young. This pattern will continue until the chicks are ready to fly. The chicks are becoming more adroit at swallowing the larger fish, but there are still occasional problems with the size. Sometimes it seems as though the effort is too much, and the chick appears to lose interest. As the chick grows, there will be fewer uneaten fish, but the adult loon will continue to search for each one, whether it has been dropped or not. About 3 weeks old now, the chicks are halfway to the flying stage. Though the chicks appear to be about half the size of the adults, a good deal of it is really feathery fluff. Visitors to Drizzle Lake, common loons, come for the plentiful sticklebacks and other freshwater fish. The red-throated loon looks down on the invader and prepares to attack. One red-throated loon can drive off an entire flock of 20 to 30 common loons. Preening. And the chick preening as though in imitation. Growing constantly now, the young loon is fast approaching the flying stage. Wings to be exercised and strengthened, soon to try the flight to the ocean. The 50 days since hatching have passed. The young bird will take to the air, another addition to this proud and beautiful species, the red-throated loon.